newsletter we introduced this term for you to help you have the conversation with your children about their learning has been well received. And another way we're better involving our pupils is goal setting. This year, every pupil has set goals for themselves, academic and well-being. It's only a small change, but it's big for them because it reinforces their purpose and enthusiasm for learning. They will get better at it as the years go on. Some are extremely good at it to start off with, and some will take some time, but goal setting, and I think Anna's going to talk about that as well, the importance of that. Of course, some of the changes I've made have been for the sheer joy of it. You'll all no doubt have heard of Sydney, the cat, who arrived in January as a tiny kitten and has grown up around the school. When you children go on holiday, she's going to be extremely lonely. Apparently, she's quite committed to learning languages. She appeared in the school hall in the Year 8 French exam and weaved her way around the chairs before she could be caught and sent on her way. The children really do enjoy Sydney's company, and she makes her way around each of the classes and offices every day. And another change of the highest importance is the introduction of handball. And over the holidays, thanks to the generosity of the WPSA, I'm delighted to announce to you pupils that handball courts are going to be painted in the playground over the holiday. So we can begin our own revolution. It's great fun, and I must admit I'm not that bad at it either. As a teacher and then head of school, it's always been my desire to get to know each child as an individual. And so I spend a lot of time walking around the school, enjoying the most marvellous conversations. For the first 2 months, many pupils and the staff addressed me as headmaster. That change did take a while to settle in. I think we've got it now. What also sank in were my patent leather shoes, which were not suited to stomping around the middle of a flower bed during gardening club. But I wouldn't miss my secret garden meetings with the pupils on Thursdays, because that's when we have our best chats, particularly about snails and slugs and all sorts of things like that. And our long treasure, a letter from a Year 4 boy who requested permission to make a cake in class. The boy wrote, "Please let us make cakes, Mrs. Knox. When I have a wife, I want to make lots of cakes with her, so I need to learn how to do it now." Now that's impressive planning for the future. As I lead in Wellingborough, I'm also focused on the future. I was at a conference with Mr. Bow recently, and we heard a futurist say that our children, you won't like this, but you will have to work until you're nearly 80. You will have up to 15 job changes, but you will also have the pleasure of extended periods when you choose not to work. And it challenged me as an educator, how do we prepare them for that future? He said the jobs of the future, as we know, won't resemble ours. They'll be global, responsive, collaborative, and impermanent. As I look to the future of Wellingborough, I understand that we're faced with a genuine dichotomy. On the one hand, there's the depth of tradition and discipline and rigour. That's the envy of many schools. On the other hand, our students are entering a world of study and career that's unlike any generations before us. The Dean of Stanford School of Education, Elwood Cubberley, he wrote, now this was over 100 years ago, "Schools are factories in which the raw products, children, are to be shaped into products to meet the various demands of life. It is the business of the school to build its pupils to the specifications laid down. This demands good tools, specialised machinery, and continuous measurement of production." On face value, that's a sound observation, isn't it? And for many of you in the room today, that was your education. We take the children, we shape them, we fashion them, we use the culture of the day as our guide, and the same tools, and we get great results. The reality, though, is that view is outdated. He assumed that all pupils are the same. We know they are not. They know they are not. He assumed that pupils were products of a system. They are not. He assumed that children should have no say in their education, and I say to you, they should. Oh yes, they should. So modern education has changed so much since then. What guidelines should we as educators adopt as change? I'd like to suggest there are 4 pillars to keep us true to our fine heritage, but moving forward. The first is to change wisely and change well. You've heard that pupil and parent feedback is important to me because it enables any change to be squarely based on community design. As we change at Wellingborough, it is important that we draw deeply on the wisdom and experience of educational researchers worldwide. The second pillar is to change consistently but incrementally. We can't be rushed, but neither can it ever stop. And change through leadership is the third pillar to which I am committed as I look to the future of Wellingborough. Every change agenda needs champions, people who will lead the change. From September, I will have 2 deputy heads, one looking solely at curriculum, and while another will manage all the pastoral care and school operations. We're also introducing a role as pastoral coordinator, so to support the welfare of our pupils. Another role is a Year 4 coordinator to oversee this incredibly important transitional year. And finally, a coordinator of academic progress and reporting, an area which you as parents fed back to us in your parent survey was of the highest importance. In these leadership changes, we have a single purpose: challenging, guiding and supporting our pupils through the Wellingborough family of schools so that they are ready to emerge to change the world around them. And the final pillar is ownership. To an extent, that's me, newly arrived on your shores, with what I've been told is that it was a broad Australian accent, but I think it's completely disappeared. Would you say it's gone? No. I still sound Australian. I'm looking to my daughter here. Oh dear. That's so terribly English. Elocutionist. But even more importantly, it means putting the pupils at the very centre of their education so they are inspired to learn and not just to achieve. Our mighty Wellingborough Club spirit is a fine example. They compete so passionately across academic, sporting and musical competitions. And these competitions unite our pupils, fire them up and get their blood pumping. They are fierce competitions, probably more so by the teachers than the pupils, because it's truly amusing to see the teachers pretending they didn't care that their club didn't win. And oh yes, they did. And that's because the teachers and pupils alike have such a strong investment and ownership in their club. Change wisely and well. Change consistently and incrementally. Change through leadership. And change who owns the learning. These are 4 avenues of gentle evolution that will be performed with the greatest care and compassion in this school. So what might they look like at Wellingborough? We will continue to improve our classroom practice, inspiring and engaging our learners. We are going to look at the spaces that these children work in and learn in to ensure that they are environments where they can engage in deep and meaningful learning. We're going to look at how we provide you feedback on the children's progress and assess their learning, so we teach them at their point of challenge. We intend to forge even closer relationships with our parents and our wider Wellingborough community. And of course, the pupils remain at the centre of everything we do. A decade ago, I was sitting in the Sydney Opera House. I was still working in the business world. And I saw some children on the stage. And they were supported by carers. And I had an epiphany. I don't know if you've ever had an epiphany, but it's the most amazing experience. And at that moment, I had a great sense of clarity. I had to devote the rest of my working life to supporting children. I came into this job to change children's lives, and I've never looked back. A decade on, I still believe passionately that each of us as teachers has been given a gift to influence the lives of the pupils, to guide them, shape them, enliven them, correct them, and encourage them. As headmistress, my firm and resolute vision is that I want every pupil to look back on their Wellingborough days and know that they did the very best they could, and every step of the way they were supported by teachers who cared for them and believed in their potential. I'm going to conclude with some very special thanks. First of all, to my husband Tim and one of my children and my other 2 children, Sam, Leo and Poppy. On Australia Day 2015, picture the scene, we were cruising in Sydney Harbour in glorious sunshine with our friends on a beautiful houseboat built by my husband. And I turned to him and I said, "I want to go home." And after the shock had subsided, how long did it take him to subside the shock?
4 cans of lager.
4 Australian lager. 4 cans of lager later, he said, "Okay, that's what you want. Let's go home." He's been my rock. Thank you, Tim. A huge thanks to the WPSA, Sam Cunningham, who concludes her time as leading this committee. She's been an outstanding leader, and I personally shall be sad to say farewell. Sam, I have a bunch of flowers to say thank you. Please can you acknowledge Sam and the committee? Sam. Thank you to Gary, to Ruth, to Jocelyn, and all of the governors here who have supported me every step of the way with your wise counsel and your strong support. To our leading staff, Jane Sanders, who leaves us after 30 years, a remarkable and dedicated teacher who leaves an incredibly strong legacy. Louise Baltrop, who has accepted a promotional position and is leaving us, but she has accepted to stay with us 1 day a week throughout the Michaelmas term as we move to recruiting against her position. And Mandy White, our assistant head, academic development, who's led significant change within this area during her time at the school. And she is now returning to the Isle of Wight. And Chris Pickett, who is taking a 1-year sabbatical from the school to study and undertake some voluntary work. Thank you to those people for your outstanding contribution to the school and your dedication to the pupils. And finally, to my wonderful teaching and office staff, Jenny, Tina, Amanda, and Katie, thank you so much. It's been a joy getting to know each one of you. They are marvellous people, dedicated to the